Hi everybody, this is my EDL 853 first module video. So an introduction to me. So first I'm going to just talk about myself. So this is my third year as a fifth grade teacher, and I graduated from KU in the class of 2016 with my degree in elementary education. I am a huge Kansas Jayhawks fan, and I am excited and looking forward to March Madness this year. I currently work at Emerson Elementary in Kansas City, Kansas, and this is where I've worked for all three of my first 3 years. And it's a low-income school. We have a pretty high ESL population, and we're also a really very tiny school for Kansas City standards, at least. We have under 200 students, so I really like the environment of this school. I really like it's really community-based, a lot of really great teachers, a lot of really awesome students, and I absolutely love my job here. A little bit more about me. I'll be finishing my master's degree in May, so I'm almost done with this degree, and my degree will be in building administration. As for career goals, I'm not exactly sure what I would like to do yet. I know that I don't think I want to be a classroom teacher forever, so education policy is something that really interests me, so I think that at some point I might like to do something with that. I also think being in district level administration would really also be something that I would enjoy and enjoy getting to make a big impact through my job. So special education at Emerson. So first I'm going to talk about how I feel Emerson does of using the appropriate content and materials to help all of our learners. So I feel that Emerson does a really pretty good job of this. I feel like students are well served here. Their needs are met. We have 2 amazing special education teachers here who are here full time. So one of them works with our K through 2 students and one works with our 3 through 5 students. And they do a really amazing job of helping our students to be successful. I would say that all of our students are held to high expectations. So I know that in some places students might be kind of almost written off because of being in special education, and I don't think that's the case here. And then almost all of our students are using the grade level curriculum that is prescribed for the rest of the students with some sort of accommodations and modifications, of course. But we only have 1 to 2 students using the DLM in our school, which kind of suggests that they don't take regular state assessments and other assessments. They take their graded, or their progress is assessed based on something called a dynamic learning map. And I think we only have 1 to 2 students in our entire building that are currently being on that sort of a plan. At times, I think that there could be more modifications given to students in upper grades. I think sometimes we're a little bit too hard on our upper grade students, and that's kind of speaking for myself included. And then sometimes I think we're a little too easy on our lower grade students. So I think that this kind of comes with the territory of intermediate teachers versus primary teachers. Primary teachers are a little more nurturing, a little more forgiving than the intermediate teachers. So I think that we could sometimes do a better job of those 2 things, but overall I think Emerson does a really good job for our special education students. As far as special education in my own classroom, I feel like I do a pretty good job of working hard to make sure that curriculum is accessible to all of my students. So that comes in modifications and accommodations both. This year I probably have been using accommodations more than modifications just based on where my students are at. But in years past I've had students who were quite a bit further behind grade level in their learning, so more modifications were necessary. So modifications to curriculum include making easier problems. So maybe if we're all adding and subtracting mixed numbers, maybe those students are still working on adding and subtracting regular fractions, or maybe even they're still working on just adding and subtracting. So in a way that's related to the curriculum, but making it easier in some way. And then if I'm giving a student below grade level word work or below grade level reading passage or something like that, that would be another modification that I've definitely made many times in the past. As far as accommodating students, we have a lot of students who get separate testing environments. So during state testing, they are in a different room with less distractions. But then in classroom tests, I also make sure that they sit away from peers so that they can focus better and be assisted by a teacher on a more one-on-one basis. Increased teacher support, like I said, for both state testing, or not really for state testing, increased teacher support, but classroom testing, and also just classroom assignments. And then shortening the length of assignments is also really helpful for some of my kiddos. Overall, I'd give myself, I would say, a B+ for my use of special education or my use of instruction with special education students. At times, I think I could be more consistent with the modifications that I give. I have one student who I think I could do a better job of consistently implementing word work for him, but other than that, I think I do a pretty good job of this. As far as a plan for improvement for kind of both myself and Emerson, I think I would start with staff training. So staff is generally very well trained here. We have a lot of veteran teachers, but we can always learn new things. So I would increase staff training in accommodations versus modifications and kind of talking about, well, what do you do in your room? What do you do in your room? More cross-sharing and more new ideas I think would be really beneficial. And then I would also increase staff training in student interventions and testing for special education. So the process here is that we go through a student improvement team and we look at interventions made by a teacher for a student, and then we can either continue those interventions, drop the student off of their improvement plan, or recommend for special education testing by the school psychologist. So I think more information on how to appropriately provide these interventions before the student qualifies for SPED, and that process would be really great for us to all learn more about. And then the other thing that I really feel like Emerson really needs is I think that we need a para. So we have 2 to 3 students in our school who really need extra support, both learning-wise and behavior-wise. And these students really need to get more full-time support than they're currently getting. I think that they're being underserved by the school and the school district, and I feel like we're kind of doing these students a disservice, truly, to their learning. And then we also have this impacting other students because these students are not able to be serviced appropriately. Our SPED teachers are doing everything they can to help service these students, but it's pulling them away from other students who also need to be serviced. So I think that this is a major issue right now and something that I would really like to see changed. So the impact of funding on the para issue is huge. So the school / the school district is currently unable or unwilling to provide a paraprofessional, and I think that that is because the district needs to budget more effectively. Our principal is advocating for a para. He's trying very hard to obtain one. All of our teachers here believe we need one, but it's kind of coming down where the district is putting their foot down and saying no. And they're blaming it on funding, so I think that they just need to allocate more funds to such paraprofessionals for schools. And then staff training, I think, is not a major funding issue. I think that staff training done by either our district or school special education staff members and our school psychologist to talk about the testing component would be adequate and would not be a financial burden. Thank you so much, and I look forward to learning with you all in this course.